to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ward 1 here.
Schaefer.
Ward 1 here.
Dillon.
Ward 2 here.
Massey.
Ward 2 here.
Ruffing.
Ward 3 here.
Marhaber.
Ward 3 here.
Carter.
Ward 4 here.
Urbanet.
Great. Do we have any comments from the floor about this agenda in particular? Anyone? Okay. We'll move along to approval of the minutes for September. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Okay. Do we have any questions, any edits, anything? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
The approval of the bills for September. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of the monthly reports, city clerk, city treasurer, court clerk for September.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
First resolution we have is number 46, local law number 5, public camping. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a quick comment. I think something like this is one of those target cities that's made for a city. Little Falls especially has always been a very open and welcoming city, and what the problem with that is people take advantage of it. I just want to, regardless of how this vote goes, I want everybody to be involved in this and going forward, should lead to humanity, knowing, we are an open and welcoming city, and we always have been, and while we may need to do something like this to protect ourselves, we still should be treating people as humans and just leading with, kindness and all of that, so.
Good points. Anyone else? And this is really to protect the health and the sanitary conditions in the city. And we do have 2 public camping sites, Moreland Park and the Marina. And where we have bathrooms, where we have facilities, we have things like that. They do require a permit by the city, but, so it's not like we're abandoning anyone. But when you have cities where people decide to tent camp on Main Street in front of businesses, and with no facilities, it becomes a real health hazard. And so this local law basically gives our police officers the ability to move them along to someplace that's safer for them, and that can certainly improve the health conditions. We just can't go there, especially with 2 other locations for people to camp. Yes.
And I think it should be noted that the city has been dealing with this situation for quite a while. The homeless population has increased in the last few years since COVID, and they've been dealing with it. They've been dealing with it very humanely and everything else. Municipalities are just coming up to this situation where there is no resolution. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want help. They don't want mental help. They don't want to go to the hospital. They don't want any other. They want to do what they want to do. And if that's on your property, so be it, right? So they're faced with this dilemma, and they handle it well. The police department, DPW, everybody's handled it real well up to this point. And we just want, they just need this law to help them along.
Do you have any other comments?
Other than just on Mr. Lyons' comment about welcoming city, and I think Mr. Massey and John agree with this, that the police always have discretion. Even though it's a law, the police have discretion to treat people with kindness and welcome. And I think that's important.
And I think that's kind of what I was talking about. I know that our police officers have been historically very kind and gracious to anybody that they interact with. And I kind of wanted to just, quell the optics of what something like this might look like on the surface of, being anti-homeless or anti-poverty, and just kind of letting everybody know it's not that. It's really just a way for us to protect our city and be able to do the things that are needed to be done.
Yeah, and I haven't really heard any pushback about this whatsoever from the community. I think the community wants and loves the lifestyle that we have and welcomes people, but on the other hand, we have to be in a position to protect our interests as well. Every city along the 5 going west of here has implemented this kind of a ban, and others have too. So it's just a matter of, you know, making it such that we can operate and we can function as a city, and we are protecting our quality of life.
Yeah.
So,
I think some of it also deals with some of the publicity that the village of Herkimer had when they had to take an encampment out. God, it was almost like a half a dozen tents, and it was very extensive, incredible amount of trash. And I wasn't in the public realm of it, it was on West Canada, you know, down by the old dump site. But still, I mean, to get that carried away and that far into it, you know, it kind of awakened everybody to a certain, you know, reality of it that we need to take care of it as far as our own in the public parks or public spaces in our own city. So I think it's a great idea.
right, okay. Anyone else? Any other comments on this? Discussion, okay. We will need, do we have, we'll need a roll call on this, won't we? But let's go ahead and take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Dillon,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
Ruffing,
Yes.
Marhaber,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Everybody? Okay. The next one is resolution number 47, the tax anticipation note. This is something that we go after every year, and it is essentially to,
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I think we need a motion.
we do,
I'll make a motion.
yeah,
Second.
okay. So to continue, this is something we go after every year, and this year is a $2.0 million tax anticipation note. We were at 1.9 last year, so we moved it up to 2.0. So this is to run the city from the end of the year, the last of December, to essentially May, when we get our tax from property assessments. And so it's a long stretch that we have there. We are looking at, this is one part of doing it. This year, we hope that by the time we run through next year, we will be closer to not having to do this. We are looking at possibly in November, trying to get a resolution together to change our fiscal year end from the end of the year to May or June. So we're debating May and June right now with our accountant to determine which is the better month to do it. And so once we have that together, our resolution is at hand. We'll be able to fill in that paragraph with how we will transition. But it will make a world of difference. We will be able to balance our budgets better, to project better what our revenue will be. It's just a better place to be, especially considering the cost of money. Excuse me. So when you're going after 2 million, you're looking at 30, 60,000, somewhere in there. I forget what it was, the cost of the money. And it just depends on what the interest rates are at the time. So it's something that also, for the first few months, I think everyone knows that we're flying blind without having the ability to know exactly how much we have coming in. So this will make a big difference. We'll end the year and each May or June and have a clean slate. We'll have money in the bank. We'll be able to forecast a whole lot better. So it's something that has been advised for a number of years. Last it was advised in 2021 with a report from the auditors. And then again, just recently with the auditor's report, it was recommended. So it's not a complicated thing to do. We're changing a day in the charter, so we're able to amend it through resolution, rather than having to go out for a public vote. So that's what this is all about. Do I have any discussion? Any comments? Okay.
I just wanted to clarify for anybody who may be watching, the vote tonight is specifically on the tax anticipation account, correct? It's not regarding the date change or anything like that.
That's correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify for the record.
Yeah, just as your agenda said.
Yep.
Okay. I was just giving you a little background.
Yeah,
so
no,
you would understand it.
I understood where you're coming from, but I just wanted to make sure everybody who might be.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Roll call?
Lyon,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Dillon,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
Ruffing.
Yes.
Margeber,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any new business? Okay, any old business? Any comments from the floor tonight?
We're,
Okay, please come up to the podium.
good evening, council members. For those who don't know me, my name is Francis Earnshaw. I live out Furnace Street. And the reason I'm here tonight is got some problems. I've had the police down, and I'd like to know why if call and nobody does anything. That's what I'm trying to find out. I'll give an example. Last year this time, this kid over across the street at Sam's lit off these fireworks that roll across the ground, 2 of them. One against my porch. I videoed it. Down comes Officer Hernandez. I showed him the video, and he looks it up. Well, he didn't have the right date and the right time. So I said, well, there were illegal fireworks. I said, what happens if it catches my house on fire? And here's what got me. Your insurance will take care of it. I said, whoa. That was purposely set off. Now, I don't know what degree of arson that would be, but that was purposely set off. You could have set them off up the street, down the street, in the street, no, at my house. That's one thing. The other thing is cars speeding up and down the street. We've called the police. I know people that's called the police. There's 3 or 4 of them. There's a white BMW, there's Lincoln, there's a white Jeep, there's a Burgundy SUV that are all riding. And now, as of yesterday, a brand new GMC kid driving it. I guess he's got to find out how he can peel up out of Sam's and see how far he can peel up the street with his brand new truck. Now, they come out of Sam's, don't even stop for a stoplight, right straight through it. I'm just fed up. Now, here's another problem, dogs. I got dogs that are trapped on my neighbor's lawn, dogs that are trapped on my lawn. I've got dogs that trapped all over the place. Okay, the lady just moved in up there. It's well, this is Kearney still. She moves there, she's making all this stuff that goes around there. Okay, I got pictures. Anyways, she parks her Jeep, her truck on the sidewalk all the time. She opens up the door, she goes upstairs, people can't get through. Now this a week and a half ago, this young boy and this young girl come down on bikes, they can't get up through, they can't go on the road. That's a public street. Now, a few days later, another bike comes down, he can't make it up the street. Today, an old lady came down the street, door was open, she's nowhere around, the dog is in front of her, on the street, by the truck, and she has to go out in the street to go back upstreet. And that is a public sidewalk. I don't know. Now, here's the other thing. I was an electrician in Remington Arts. I worked for Remington 30 years. I'm certified in, I was a fireman. I went to school for that. I'm certified in high voltage, and I also did OSHA. Now, when you have a home or a place, and you've got 2 exits, entering or leaving, they're fire exits, okay? Now, on a fire exit, if there's a fire, you have to be able to, somebody to get in, or you gotta be able to get out. Okay, at Sam's, right on the corner where his front door is, she put the stump with all these roots coming down, and today she put a whole bunch of flowers around it. That's blocking the fire entrance. Am I correct? Yes. Am I correct, people? You can't block the fire exit. You have to have two places to get in and out.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did
Now,
you-
I also, excuse me,
Did you call the fire chief about it to come out?
I called people.
Okay.
They've been there. This is what I'm talking about. People have been there. Now, when she goes upstairs for a month and a half, she had a refrigerator, full-size refrigerator, blocking the hallway. Now, if an ambulance come, or you have to have, to get upstairs for, get somebody down, you can't get up there. That's gone now. I see somebody must have said something. Then she had all this stuff on the side of the building. Anybody know what a grass side is? Remember years ago they cut wheat and stuff like that? She had it hanging on the side of the building with one screw, and it's hanging like that. Well, I see it's gone now. Now she got it blocked again today, but semi-blocked. Now I hear the back of the building, which I haven't been there. I hear that's blocked too. My point is, I don't know. Furnace Street is just, that's just the point that.
Mr. Harrington, have you met with the chief, fire chief, and police chief? I know you mentioned the police issue. Have you met with the police chief?
No.
Not call just the station, but actually ask for a meeting with the police chief to talk about the issues.
I was through your office one time, and he was supposed to call me. Whether he did or not, I don't remember. It would be on my telephone if they called me. I think
We can certainly check with him and see if he can follow up with you.
I'm sorry, I didn't remember hearing you.
We can check with him and see if he can follow up with you and see, because it's really something he has to answer for, as far as what his options and how they're handling things, right? The fire and the codes thing are different issues, obviously, but he should be able to coordinate with them as well.
I had Officer Hernandez came down when they had the fire, when the sparkler, the things on my porch. I videoed it, he said, well, he didn't have the right time, the right day. Okay. I said, but them are really good fireworks. So him and I were in the office in my kitchen for about an hour or so. His last words, and I quote, when I told him everything that goes on over in that parking lot, in that place, he says to me, and I quote, well, we don't interfere not city, but we don't interfere in business, unquote. That's what he told me.
Okay. So that's something, again, we'll talk to the chief and make sure he reaches out to you and he can deal with it. It's not, something works.
I mean,
Mr. Hernshaw, I wonder if I could get your street address again? I don't remember the number on Furnace.
I'm sorry.
Your street address?
I didn't have a hearing.
Your street address?
Oh, 16 Furnace.
Okay. I will get with you later. We'll work through the chief and see if he can meet with you.
I should have worn my hearing aids.
That's okay. I will get back in touch with you and with the chief to make sure that he hears some of the newer things that you're talking about and see what we can do. I appreciate your comments.
The other problem I had, and it's been good lately, I had homeless. All winter long, I had homeless in the spring too. They broke into my back door, going up the back stairway. They broke in my garage where I had to fix the door. They broke in my back shed. And, then when I was over by my grandson's car, I says to him, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm doing nothing, I ain't doing nothing. I said, yes, you are. No, I'm not doing nothing. I said, you see them posted signs? I said, you're on posted property. I can have you arrested right now. But they're there, and all of a sudden they're not there. They call the police, and they're gone.
Well, we'll look into it. Thank you for bringing it up again.
Okay, thank you, council members, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a comment for our engineer. What's going on with Hanson Island now? I know
the sign up employees only and the bridge has been redesignated?
Yep, so about 2 weeks ago now, we got the okay from the New York State DOT to open the bridge to 25 tons. After the IDA assisted us with another outside engineer, bridge specialist, to conduct a more thorough assessment of the bridge than DOT conducts. So once they finished that assessment, DOT reviewed it, and we were able to open the bridge. It'll come back up. It's going to need a lot of maintenance. It's at the end of its lifespan, but for the time being, it's open for 25 tons.
Which is an upgrade from what it was, yeah. And I think that no trespassing sign is from the owners, the property owners.
Well, it says
Not from the
employees
city.
only.
Yeah, from,
And I was wondering, is somebody working in there now?
Now, there's nobody working there, but I know they're actively trying to sell the property still.
yeah.
Okay, oh, that's good news.
So it hasn't changed hands yet, still in the Preston estate. But there are a lot of buyers interested in it, so.
Good news.
Yeah, yeah.
Another issue down in that area that was brought to my attention is the boat launch. I believe the city owned down at that end of the little building there. There is potholes a
They're
foot
horrible.
deep and trying to back a boat in there.
There is, we thought that we might own it, but then in checking, we're finding out that no, we don't.
You don't own the city there?
Apparently, over the years, it was supposed to be deeded to the city, and it never got recorded, and so it's still in the original property owner's name. But certainly the potholes going down there, but the boat launch itself needs repair, needs some work. So that's one of the things that we've got volunteers doing so much around the city, and we thought we'd do what we can to clean that up as well. DPW is aware of it, and even the brush that's growing up alongside of the road. They've been so busy mowing grass during the summer, they haven't been able to get to it. They're just now starting to work on it a little bit. And if you drive down, you'll see where they started and stopped. So I think over the next month, it'll look a lot better to you. Anything else?
Yeah, Madam Mayor. Does that open up liability problems for us down there with city equipment on private property to try and maintain those places? It seemed like we couldn't do any work up at across from the Valley View Courts where the electric poles and the lights and other things up there because that was private property, so we couldn't put city. But now this is private property, we know it's private property now, so doesn't that affect our liability and how we hold that? I'm not sure.
Well, the boat launch is a different thing. That would, be city employees working on it. That would be, cleanup. And Feldmeyer, I think, is still the owner, right, of that.
It's a holding company
A holding
of that
company.
farm. Yeah.
But they have requested help with keeping it clean. Where the city employees will be working is on the easement, on the sides of the road going down.
Oh, okay.
So
They're not even filling the potholes because there
Well, if the
are.
pothole's on private property, we're not going to fill it, obviously.
That's what I just
But it's the
wanted.
main drag that is pretty bad on.
Those big trucks next door.
Anything else? Yes.
Has the city looked, and this digresses from this topic, but has the city looked at the various holding companies that hold property that maybe are delinquent?
Yes.
Or property that is such as that, parking lot space, actually.
We have a long list.
And been able to get back, because sometimes they're just covers and shells, and you never know how to unravel it.
Well, it's very time consuming. I spent 2 hours one day and went through 8 LLCs to get nowhere, looking for who owned a piece of property for Phil, that he was having an issue with. And finally, through LinkedIn, ended up being able to find the CFO. And so from that, we were able to connect with him. But yeah, it's a challenge with LLCs that we have a good, pretty strong list of properties, and he adds to it all the time. But it's not just one LLC. I mean, there's multiple LLCs usually. So it's a problem. And a lot of the zombie houses that we talk about, they are LLCs. Or some of them are even nonprofits that purchased them and then disappeared. So
When I was looking to purchase in Little Falls, there was and looking at different areas in the region, one of the brokers had said that was the greatest downfall in Utica was some of the beautiful buildings that LLCs and ghost companies basically would go in and just purchase the building, strip out the plumbing or the pipes and various things, and then disappear. And then you're just left with a derelict building that has everything stripped out of it.
Yeah, and some of them do it for tax write-offs, and then you never see them again, you know, where the LLCs disappear. So, yeah, it's always an investigative challenge to find out who owns property. And that's even working with the Herkimer County legislators that are working with us to take down properties that need to be taken down. But there are others that I'm always looking at. You know, if we could release this one, we have a developer who might be able to do something with it. It's finding who owns it.
Is there any way to mitigate that on the front side of it, Deborah? That a person purchasing a property has to have that clear lineage so that you understand right from the get-go who the owner is, the city does?
We don't have anything set up like that right now, but it would be interesting when they come in to register or to turn the water on or something like that. We might be able to get some better information than what we're currently getting. It's a good idea. I don't think we have anything set up like that, but you know, whatever they're filling out to get their water turned on, we can certainly make sure we have enough fields that we can track back. So, yeah, good idea. Yes.
Another municipality I worked for in the past, we tried having them register properties that were, utilized by the owner. And I don't think you can single out LLCs, but many of them were LLCs. And the problem was enforcement. We passed a local law, I think it was Herkimer, and they had to register, and they had to have an agent, even if they had a hire, there were a couple people that formed little companies that would be these properties agents, and it really very difficult, but maybe it's something you and I will talk about in the future. And the other thing with LLCs in New York State especially, they call it piercing the veil, and you go after the principals. In New York State's one of the more difficult states to do so, and many times you would think if it's a shell company, you could get the principal, and because of the way the laws in New York State are a bit different, they're very difficult. We had a building collapse in Herkimer years ago, and we pierced the veil, but for what good? But anyway, we'll look at those things because they're important.
Good idea. It seems like we had a registry at one point for rental properties for out-of-state owners of the properties. And I think the same issue, that there wasn't who would enforce it, who has the time to monitor it, right? So I think we can do better on that.
That was quite a few years ago that we tried to get that rental registry enforced, and we found that to try and maintain that kind of paperwork is 2-3 times the cost that your current codes department was now handling. We didn't have those kind of resources at that time. We just felt it wasn't going to be worth it at that time. Most of those companies, LLCs, this guy buys it, he sells it to this person, who sells it to this group over here. By the time you have any kind of wherewithal to try piercing that veil is moved back 3 or 4 different times. It's extremely difficult to get to that point.
Yeah, so I think we'll look at it and see if we can capture more information when we turn on the water. That's something, right? And we'll go from there. Okay, anything else? Yes.
My name is Bill Bennett, 14 Woodside Ave. It's been some time since I've been able to attend the common council meetings, and it's nice to know that this group is working together. There's no shouting across the lines or anything, but thank you all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Well,
We try to tone it down when we can.
That's my word right there.
That's great. Okay. Any other comments or mayor comments, of course, I'm always talking about the financial situation. We're holding our own, which is a good thing. Our cash projections have been true as they could be. We have been stabilizing. We haven't corrected any of the problem. We still have a $2.8 million deficit, but we're getting from one month to the next, and that is really an upside compared to where we were in July. So things are moving as they should. So very happy about that. And looking at from now to the end of the year, we're going to be fine. This particular month, we're going to be low, so we're very, very tight-fisted with everything we're doing. But November and December, a little bit better for us, coming around to the first of the year. So we'll start moving the projections further out to give us a better idea. Today, we stand at 1.656 million, plus we have 692,000 that we have in our squirrel away account. It's essentially a reserved fund, and some of them are restricted funds in there, but mainly it's a reserve fund, knowing that we will have the pension fund coming up in February. We're going to have the money for that. And so we have, we're very, very cautious to put the money in there every month, so we will have it. So we won't be caught like the previous years where it didn't get paid. So we're in good shape there, and we have been paying our $30,000 a month on the arrears that we had from previous administration on pension plans. So so far so good in all of that. This month we have a very large payroll because we have 3 payrolls in this month. So instead of our 350,000, we're closer to 525 if I calculated correctly coming out of this month. It's just the way it works out. We have currently 167,364 in our 60-day payable, and that will go out shortly, any day now, and with our monthly essentials. So what we've been doing to be able to maintain a steady cash flow is, as everyone probably has heard, we've been on 60-day payables, and we have been paying essentials along with that, so things that have to be paid to function. And we've been right on the mark on 60 days, and so people who work with us know it's 60 days, but they'll get their money, and so really that has worked out beautifully, and people have been hanging in there with us, and I certainly appreciate that. Total outstanding in payables is $344,117. We have been, as I mentioned before, setting the $170 aside for the retirement. Fourth quarter, we have, we're looking at modifying our budget. We're starting to look at that on a quarterly basis. So next year it'll be very different. This year we're just getting into it. So the fourth quarter we're going to modify the budget to what we now know is realistic. The same thing that's going to happen in the fourth quarter is we're going to start working on our budget for 25. So by the end of the year, we will actually know exactly where our budget stands. So we won't be going into March to the 1st of April and trying to fly blind again. We will know ahead of time. So it needs a little bit more work on our side. We're going to push the finance committee. We're going to be pushing everything up a little bit, but I think it's worthwhile considering where we are, the vulnerable state that we are. We can't take any risk right now, and it's the smart way to go. So we will be working on that as well. This month, we will be getting a partial sales tax check from Herkimer County that we typically get. That's $322,000. So that's a nice little perk we'll be getting this month. Nicole George, she's a gem. She's been out with surgery on her arm, and she has returned. But and Sarah is very happy that she's returned. She's been working on the bank reconciliations. And so one by one, she's getting them done, but we set back a little bit with her surgery, so she's back on the job right now. So we will get those 12 accounts balanced. And she's, like I said, she's a gem. That department really depends on her a lot. Budget spreadsheets will start coming out in October. Sarah's working on that, so we'll be ready to start talking about budgets with departments. So that's where we stand with that. A couple things in the packet here. One in particular that I wanted to talk to you about, and that is this document here. For the first time, we've condensed our projects and have budgets attached to them. This is information that the council has never been given before. So this is what we're working on. And a lot of these are Chet's handiwork. You can see all of the things that are in the process right now. It's quite a lot. We've got just under 15 million projects that are being worked on currently. And these are things like holes in the ground. They're streams, they're water treatment, they're you name it, EPA lead service projects. Some of these things are mandated by state. One of them is the new lead line service that we're replacing all the lead lines in the city over the next 10 years. We've got the water treatment, the UV project, that's a mandated from the state. So big project. So this is what we're chipping away at. So when we talk about looking for bans or TANs, not TANs, but bans or bonds, this is what we're referring to. And what I wanted to do was to be able to give you all a sense of what the budget is, what we're anticipating that needs to be done. If there are any change orders in the process, they will be documented here, so we have a running total of where we stand with all these projects and a connection to the finances of the city. So I think it's interesting, and Chet's worked really hard to bring it to this level. It's one of those things, it's a work in progress, but we'll have an updated one every month when we meet, so everyone can take a look at it. Chet, do you want to share a couple of things about some of the water things that we've been working on and plans for the future?
Sure. So the mayor mentioned the lead service line project. That's an EPA mandated project. It comes down from the EPA to the Department of Health. We're finishing up the inventory, which is due on the 16th, but we're planning to submit at the end of this week. Within 30 days, we'll have that inventory made public on our website. And from that point forward, we have to do some further investigation to mark out the unknowns, the service lines. We don't know what material they are, so there's a little bit of work that we have to do in the next year. But right now, the way the regulations look, the EPA will be requiring 10% of the lead service lines in the city be changed out every year. So 10 years from now, they should all be new service lines, or non-lead service lines, I should say. So past that, we'll see that coming out in we'll have some press releases related to the service line project. But I did want to also call your attention to the project list. Actually a little over one page of the 4 pages is dedicated to water treatment plant projects. And you'll also notice that maybe a third of them are marked urgent. So we have a couple of things going on at the water treatment plant and our water system. Some of them are short-term fixes that we need, and other parts are long-term planning pieces. So a lot on the horizon there. We have requests from other communities and outside developers outside of the city to provide water to them. At the same time, we are just barely at the capacity of our treatment plant right now for what we can provide the city. And we're chasing leaks every day. We're trying to dig at least 2 leaks per week to control the losses. So at the same time, we're having issues with our sand filters. So we're looking at upgrading the sand filters, doing the required maintenance, and then also possibly making a process change there so that we can utilize more of the water from our watershed. So we'll be able to take that in, treat it, use it in the city, but also use it for basically for sale from the city. We have intermunicipal agreements outside of the city of Little Falls. So looking at short-term fixes that are urgently needed, but also kind of the long-term vision make sure that we take the right path in these short-term fixes to position ourselves toward the future. I think that the watershed, clean water is the city's huge resource. I mean, that's one thing that we have that a lot of communities don't.
We have a lot of interest in our water because it is so good, and we have a huge volume of it. We're not even tapping into, I don't know, a small amount compared to what is available to us, and it's our greatest asset. I think looking at the history of the city, it's always been the greatest asset. We've never really looked at it in a way that we are now, with so many of our neighboring communities complaining about, the wells and concerns about the wells drying up and different things like that are coming to us and saying, can you help us out with some water? So there's been conversations over the years, but nothing has really gone forward. But we have, from what I understand, we have 3 times the supply coming out of the Klondike Reservoir compared to Hinckley. And Hinckley handles all of Utica and Rome. And I think that they're handling also the authority, aren't they? So they're coming down to Ilion, Mohawk maybe. So it's interesting that we do have a great asset. And one of the things that we have to do going forward, we can't grow population as quickly as it would be wonderful. And so our tax base is limited to what we have as a revenue source. And so we have to look at not only, we have the property tax, the next bucket is sales tax. And we do benefit from Herkimer County a little bit there, but it's still not enough. We're still short a third of what we need to run the city lean like we are now. And so it's got to come from shared services. So all those things are important. Fiber is important. We do emergency service, shared service. We do SROs in our schools, the special resource officers. We do engineering services. We have another town that we used to do business with fire, wants us back. So we've got a lot of things that we can do, and dusting off these old contracts and introducing new. We have the ability, because we're a city, to be able to, we have the structure to be able to scale very quickly by adding a couple of people here and there, and to really help out some of the communities around us, which is good for them and very good for us.
I have a question, regarding water, and particularly with, so many neighboring municipalities that are interested in that. Is there any avenue that we could utilize to have them help with the burden of expanding our capacity in that regard? If that is, the intention is.
To expand out to the communities is a big development.
Yeah.
It's huge money. Our little surrounding communities, they're not going to be able to chip in. The reality is those are the types of projects that you look for IDA and other big players who can round up the money and make that kind of investment. So we have the contacts, and so we'll be going in that direction more than likely. It's not that they wouldn't want to, but it's not small money. It's huge. So it's a process, and it's over time that we'll get there. But we have to look at the city a little differently, because what we want to do is to sustain ourselves to go forward, right? And right now, that has been the biggest problem. When you look at everything that has gone on over the last few months, the revelation of where we stand financially, it's not necessarily because we spent too much money. It's because we didn't earn any money. There's no revenue to speak of. The cost of living, the cost of everything has gone up so high. And when we have a 2% tax cap, and inflation is 11%, year after year, we're getting more and more in the hole. And so we have to be smart about this. We know that we're going to need more revenue, and so we have to look for opportunities where we can do that and sustain the quality of life that we all love. And but it's a different time we're living in. And days back, you could up the tax rate and just take care of the problem. You wouldn't even have to think about pulling in any revenue from anywhere else. But that's not where we live right now. So we've got a plan, we're working it, and we've got some exciting opportunities from neighboring communities, and even the state, the Department of State met with Chet and I. We had a really good meeting, and they know what we would like to do. They're thrilled to work with us because they love the idea of collaboration and consolidation. And the fact that the only city in Herkimer County is willing to step up to the plate is very exciting to them. So all positive going forward, and as we get some of these things underway, we'll be coming back and sharing with them. So good news on that. Moving along, one of the most important things I think that everybody wants to know is Halloween will be set for October the 31st from 5 to 7. So that's a big important thing. I wanted to talk to you about some of the things that we have going on, just to thank you to so many people. We have such generous community folks out there who realize how vulnerable we have been over the past few months and have stepped up to make life a little bit easier with donations. And the other thing we have are volunteers. Buttermilk Falls is one that you've heard me talk about before. And I laugh because most of the volunteers out there are over 65 years old. And then the next one is right around 50 and then 15 years old, a young lady. They've been working like crazy to be able to pull that together to a nice park. We just recently they put in, thanks to Jason Stock and Craig Lockwood, they worked on the Buttermilk Falls sign outside the park. So if you haven't been up that way in a while, take a look. It's beautiful. It's metal, and they painted the background white, so it shows up. It looks like the water. It's really very beautiful. The grounds are gorgeous, so now when you come into the park, you actually see the waterfalls. Dave Warner, my husband, has been working hard on it too with the team up there, and I can attest to the fact that he comes in very grimy at the end of any outing up there. Picnic tables, they've got generous donations for picnic tables, for a small bridge going over the creek with water like this, so it helps to get over the rocks. Also we have Main Street First, who continues to carry the liability insurance for them and keep everybody straight with them. It's quite an ordeal because they do meet frequently. The other thing I wanted to, another group that I wanted to thank are the family Eric and Kelly Gehring, who brought 500 corn stalks to decorate Main Street for the fall. And these people were out there picking these things themselves in bundles and wrapping them up in bundles of 12 up and down the street. They even went farther this year because of Cheese Festival going all the way down to the West End. So just a wonderful couple, and they've been doing this for years and never asked for a dime. They just do it. Preserve Our Past is another one. We have a leak right up here above our heads. And they donated $10,000 to the city to fix that leak in the roof. And it was getting very close to the stained glass, and we're very concerned about it. So Chet has been working on that, and I think the contractors are working next week to fix it. So we're fixing the leaks in here. I mean, the walls look dreadful, but we're fixing the leaks. So we're stopping the erosion with what we can do. And then also Kurt Ackerman, again from the county legislator, had just a little bit left in his account. And he gave the city of Little Falls another $4,000 to cover the cost of conference room chairs, which anybody who has sat in our conference room there can attest they're dreadful. Signage to bring the bicyclists in from the bike trail to Canal Place Harbor, so that in Main Street, so they know how to get in here. We're really lacking in wayfaring signage to alert people as to where to go to get something to eat or shop with, just see the signs. Also this weekend, of course, we've got the 2024 Cheese Festival. It's the 8th year in running. We were the largest cheese market in the world from 1864 to 1870. You all probably know that. It's Saturday, October the 5th from 10 in the morning till 5 p.m. 120 cheese makers this year. 90 vendors, so expanded the number of vendors, but you'll be happy to know the Pickle Man will be at the end, all the way down West Main.
You're not supposed to tell them that. They want you to search for them.
I think you have to go through the whole street to get to the
Until the end.
He is very popular. And then there are 6 music locations throughout, so lots of music all day long. This year, like I said, it goes as far, closer to Route 5, and this is the longest distance, so it covers every inch of Main Street, which I love. Parking shuttles for anybody who has family coming in or friends. Industrial Park, again, near the Mohawk Healthcare, dropping off at Roadway Inn. And then the east one is Vets Park, dropping off at CVS. And the one dropping off at CVS is easier for people who have mobility challenges. So our handicap people, be sure to mention that to them. And then last but not least, the development projects. I wanted to just give you a quick update where we stand with things. Rockton, they had to cancel their September meeting. We're working toward an October 15th for planning, and we'll post that as soon as we have confirmation. We're trying to get a quorum to make sure we have it. And then the upcoming, this particular meeting, we expect to hopefully be able to move it to ZBA for variances late October, early November. Zeta, we met with Zeta, the planning board, on September 25th, last Wednesday, and voted to move the project to ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals, to rule on the R1 residential one single family zoning variance. And that public hearing is scheduled for October 22nd at 6 p.m. So that's it for, I almost forgot a couple, sorry. Thank you letters from a couple of different people. The Lake Falls Public Library wrote a wonderful letter in deep appreciation of the city's support of our recently concluded summer concert series. They called out in particular the city clerk, the Board of Public Works staff, chief of police, were all very patient, helpful, and most appreciated. So that was Joan Carrick who sent that to us. And then also Jeff Bressler and his wife Pat sent a lovely letter about a donation that they made to the city in regard to signage for Little Falls Historic Entry. So you can see it at Eastern Park, where you walk through there, you'll see the blue and the yellow signs, the historic signs. And it lists all of the historic buildings that we have in Little Falls. So if someone's on a historic tour, they can look for the signs and be able to direct to that particular thing, whether it is a school, whether it's St. Mary's Church, City Hall, all of those things. So they did a great job with them. It didn't cost the city a dime. They donated $925 to achieve that. They were put up, and it looks really great. So they've got a lot of different things in here. I'll leave the letter. Kira will have it if anyone wants to look at the details. But pretty impressive. And also wanted to acknowledge Chet and DPW for helping them install them. So, okay, so that concludes the mayor's comments. Do we have anything else, or shall we adjourn? Ready to adjourn?
Motion.